Hi, I wanted to talk to you today about my experience of working with people who come to me with issues around anger, rage and violence. This experience that I've had spans a number of years. I first started working with people in the early 2000s with these issues. By the time people come to me, they're looking for solutions. And what I started to do for the first 5 years was try and gain a better understanding of their experience and the development in their lives of anger, rage and violence. Now, what I'm going to say today is exactly what I say to people in the sessions when they come to me. So when I ask people, can they remember the first time they noticed anger, rage and violence in the room, they all nod their heads and can remember it vividly. So what happens for young people when they experience anger, rage and violence, they take on the information, they take on the understanding of the effect that it has on the people in the room, effect that it has on them, and over time they notice the effect that it has on the person that's perpetrating, displaying anger, rage and violence. And for some kids, they will start to mimic that behaviour. They'll start to notice the power that the person displaying that behaviour has, and they'll notice the mood elevation and the excitement and the adrenaline rush that people experience. So they talk to me about, over a period of time, learning about anger, rage and violence from their environment. By the time they come to me, they're ready to do something about it. They're asking for assistance, for help. So the idea that they tell me that what happens for them is usually they see red, they experience a lack of control, and it's instant. There's no regard for any of the consequences or what's happening around them. They feel a sense of lack of control, essentially. So if we go back to the development of anger, rage and violence as a response, as an action, then over time, young person growing up will test out the waters. They'll see, they see the effect that it has on the people around them. I talked about they'll see the effect that it has on the adult that's behaving that way, and they'll start to engage in that behaviour. Remember, I'm talking about not everyone, just the people that come to see me at difficult periods in their life through these things. So what happens is the young person tests those actions. They will take, they might injure the younger sibling and see what they can get away with. They might attempt that on an older sibling, and they'll see that it may work with a sister, but it's not going to work with an older brother, and they get a reaction. So they're learning as they go along about the behaviour, but they're also learning about their internal responses to it. If it's giving them a charge, if it's giving them some adrenaline, if it's giving them a sense of power, it may be a reaction to a whole lot of circumstances in their life or not. I don't think that seems to change the process that people go through. So over time, and people talk about this happening over many years, often throughout adolescence, and stuff, where they learn to identify a situation where rage is a possible outcome. They will assess the situation about who best to direct their anger, rage and violence towards, and they will assess the risk of that. And you might try it out with mum. She whacks you across the back of the head. The risk is no, we don't go there. And for some people, same result. They might try it out with mum, get a whack across the head, and they don't care, and they keep going because they still get that sense of control, that sense of excitement or adrenaline rush. So what happens for the young child over the period of time is they get to assess the situation. They determine who they can lash out at and what the consequences are going to be. And they make assessments and judgments on those issues all along the way. Over time, what happens is, this is where our brains work for us. I love our brains. They're amazing creatures. They do all this work we don't know about, and we're still learning about how to manage them, our brains. But what happens, we notice over time, is that our thought processes follow along. If we keep doing the same actions, they follow the same thought processes, they follow the same neural pathway. So an event happens, I scan for who's a likely target, I zero in on the target, what's the action, what's the consequences, I scan again outside for who's likely to come in, and then I make a decision on the action. Now, like I say, over the period of time, learning that process, our brains start to go, I know what to do. When this happens, you want me to do this, this, this and this. And our brains shoot quickly along that neural pathway. So by the time people come to me, they say, it just happens. I see red, it comes out of the blue. It does, because our brains are working so fast along that neural pathway. We're doing all that. We're doing the assessment. We're doing the risk assessment. We're determining what behaviour is going to work. And we're accepting the consequences of that and making the decision anyway. So when people come to me, I don't ask them to stop and count to 10 because the brain is firing so quickly. What I do is I ask them to, after the next episode, the next couple of episodes, when they can, when the adrenaline resides and they're calm again and everything, go back and think about what happened prior to the response, the action, whether it's anger, rage, violence. Doesn't matter the intensity, doesn't matter the action, but if it's any of those things, just go back as soon as you can afterwards and think about what happened before. What was the lead up to it? What we hope to do is to expand that length of time between each of those decisions and those actions, that scanning, that assessment and the decision. We want to expand that length of time to give people the opportunity to make different choices if they want to. Yeah, we want to take away that instant reaction. We want to give them time to assess it. So the person gets a chance to assess slowly along the way whether this is the action they want to take. Now that's the theory. I'll tell you what actually happens is people leave, thank you very much, they will come back. I don't know why this happens, but they come back 3 or 4 months later for another issue entirely, and they come back and ask, give me a call, they come back in and they talk to me about the issue and they go, yeah, it's been a while since I see you, I wanted to see you about this, blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, that's right, it was the last time I came, it was, and to see the dawning on their face. And I go, so how's the it been with the anger, rage and violence? And they go, I haven't engaged in it. I just haven't engaged in that behaviour. I haven't been angry, you know, I haven't raged out, I haven't been violent towards anyone. You told me this would happen. You told me that I would come back 3 or 4 months later and say that I didn't really believe you at the time, but what's happened is I've been able to let go of those behaviours. So once we slow our thought processes down, we actually get to make different decisions and choices along the way. If the outcome of anger, rage and violence isn't what you want, then this gives people a way to act differently. Now, I've been doing this since the early 2000s. I spent the first 5 years talking to people, understanding their experience. That's where I get all that knowledge from, and from people. Not my assessment of people, but from what people have told me. And I've been able to piece this together. So when I talk to people, I listen to what they're experiencing in their lives, and then I give them this story of my understanding and experience of people that I've seen before. Now, it works with one-on-one, with people in individual counselling sessions. It works when I'm presenting in a workshop, and I do this with professionals. I get the same feedback later on. People will come to me later on and go, you know, I had an issue with rage, and after your workshop it hasn't, I haven't engaged in that behaviour. So something happens when, you know, we give our brains a different set of information and give them a way, give our brains a way not to engage in that fast neural processing that happens especially with anger, rage and violence. If you've found any of this helpful, then it would be really, really good if you could give me some feedback. Write a review, write a comment. I know I'm putting this out into social media, and it's free and it's accessible to everyone, and I'll probably get flack. I've had lots of flack in my time, it doesn't really bother me, but I'd be really interested to know if we get the same response, or if people have the same response doing it online and not just face-to-face, because I've only done this in one-to-one counselling sessions and in training workshops face-to-face before. So if you could, you know, please like, comment, subscribe, whatever platform this happens to be out on, and let me know your experience with this particular interaction. Thank you.